Welcome in, guys. I am the Crypto Bull Guy. Oh, nah. That's not how we do it. Welcome in, guys. I am the Crypto Bull God, and this is all in the charts. If you appreciate the content, make sure to hit the thumbs up button, or like I said, the thumbs up button, or the thumbs button down twice. Drop me a comment. Click the bell icon for all notifications to know when I go live each and every single weekday, guys. This is the start of the new schedule. I'm going live at 5:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, as I had shared, because it is Thursday and it is TA Q&A. So, again, recognizing that there are people tuning in from different parts of the world, this will provide an opportunity for me to connect in with people that typically I don't have the opportunity to ask me some live charting questions. So if you have any live charting questions, feel free to drop them in the live stream. I know until things start getting kicked off and people really do recognize I'm going this live this early Eastern Standard Time, at least for now, one day a week. It's going to be a little slow in terms of traffic and live viewers, so definitely would appreciate the engagement given that I'm making time this early and having a cup of my black coffee. Guys, something I recently got into before we get into the charts, I've stuck into my coffee here. I put a little tiny scoop. It's a little scoop. If anyone's interested, I can share specifically what it is, but it's a mushroom powder. It's supposed to help have various health benefits. So I put just a little scoop in the black coffee here. I do some fasting. I try to hit 14 to 16 hours of fasting per day. Not super regimented with it, but try to aim for 14 to 16. If it's a bad day, there's a minimum 12-hour fast that I do. But happy for anyone who could make the live stream today. Of course, we're seeing some downside in the price action, but let's not lose perspective. If we're going to hone in on the lower time frame price action like we typically do to start things out, we're going to start with this 12-hour. Guys, we still got the lower highs coming in. Even if we double bottom and come into this area, we still got lower highs coming in. Price is just chipping and chopping. Don't allow this sideways consolidation that's going right now within the market to weed you out. We are literally, 10% away from prior all-time highs. You have Ethereum, which is just literally starting to make its market movements within this quote-unquote cycle, which is beginning to outpace Bitcoin's rate of return. You can see we're pressed right up against this $4,000. Nothing has changed. What I figured we would take the opportunity to do today, depending how much interaction I'm getting on live charting questions. Again, feel free to drop those in the comments. I figure what I would do today is at least take a look at some of the meme coins, depending how much time I have to chart, if I'm not getting many questions, just because we haven't taken a look at a lot of those meme coins in a while, and I can kind of explain my thought process in terms of how some of those charts are looking. I know that the social tokens or the meme tokens are kind of that hot commodity within the crypto space right now, so we can certainly take a look at that. Again, just on levels of pullback here, before we start getting into the meme coins, as I'm waiting for you to drop your TA questions into the comments, let's kind of speak to what I would expect to occur within this market. So what I'm anticipating right now, given the relative weakness within the chart right now on Bitcoin, it's just sort of consolidating down. What I would expect to see here is for this orange box to hold. So again, on this 12-hour time frame, something that I have communicated on this 12-hour time frame is the historical significance of it, and specifically as it relates to the historical significance, the 200 and the 50 simple moving averages, and you can see them highlighted within this chart, the pink and purple respectively, okay? And so first off, price does like to at times during a bull market gravitate towards the 200 pink simple moving average, but we don't like to deviate much from it. So that's going to be a strong area of price confluence. You can see the moving averages are moving in the direction that we want. We want the 50 above the 200, and we want them sloping upwards, which is what we have. So not only is this 200, this guy right here, not only is this going to act as an area of price confluence to hold as support, but we also have 65,600 and we also have 63,800. Okay, so this entire zone, not that we can't wick below here, but this entire zone I would suspect would hold as price confluence. So, and we'll have to have a game plan if we start to break down below 63,800. And I go live every single day, so every weekday. So I'll be here right alongside of you if we begin to break down below 63.8. We can talk about what we should be looking for in the charts at that point. But what I would suspect over the coming handful of days is if we see continued weakness in the market, 63.8 is going to hold. Sorry, trying to get in my coffee here. It is early, trying to wake up here. One other thing I did want to hit on within this chart is, and this is actually a key point that I want to make before I get to the comments and before I get into the meme coins. Bitcoin, for me, the way I'm looking at this chart, more than likely, price was done correcting here. And we have since been moving up with higher highs and higher lows, right? If Bitcoin is truly going to continue moving up, probably can't see that well. If Bitcoin is going to continue moving up in this fashion and we're going to create new all-time highs, and June is going to be as explosive as I've been saying it most likely will be, but we'll have to wait for the May candlestick to print. If that's all going to happen, Bitcoin needs to make a decision and start moving up sooner rather than later. Now, I'm not telling you within the next day or two we need to be at $74,000. That's not what I'm telling you. But if this move is truly the start of what I believe it to be, and it coincides with a lot of the other market movements that I've been speaking to in the Bitcoin dominance chart, the Ethereum chart, even Solana, and some of those total others and total 3, then you're going to see a strong move in Bitcoin to the upside very soon. Okay, if I'm correct. I would suspect, when I say very soon, let me be a little bit more specific. If we are to see Bitcoin really starting to break to the upside and creating new all-time highs, we're going to start to see some explosive movements up in Bitcoin by next week. Okay, that really is what I have inside my head in terms of from a timing perspective. Now, I could be wrong, of course. I mean, I've been wrong, I've been right. A lot of these moves, some of them have taken longer than I would have suspected. So, I mean, we could chop around here, for the next handful of weeks. That's entirely possible. But if this move is what I expect, we're not going to stay down here for very long. We are going to make some sort of a strong impulsive move up. So we'll have to see. Let's see who we have in the comments here. Again, this is live TA Q&A for those joining. This is the segment of All in the Charts that I'm going to be doing on an ongoing basis at this time on Thursdays to connect in with a new community. Mad Max, I've seen you in here before. Welcome in, my friend. Yeah, man, I've told you before, and I hope it comes through in the live stream that I definitely appreciate very, very, very much my community. And so one of the things that I took a step back and paused to think about, and I also received feedback from you guys, whether it be DMs on Twitter or X, or whether this is comments within the YouTube, is it would be nice if I live streamed at a different time to connect in with a different part of the audience. So how do you have the energy to do all the talking so early in the morning? I was going to post something out I'll answer that with you know me to be you know me to be wordy at times. So let me be concise and then a little bit wordy for a moment before I get into the meme tokens here. In short, I'm passionate about this space and serving others in this space and helping other people out. The long-winded answer is I was going to post this out. I mean, imagine if your life was comprised of spending your time doing the things you were most passionate about, and those things that you were most passionate about generated revenue at the same time, right? So whether it's if you're still working for a W-2, which I am, you're passionate about that, you enjoy it, you earn money doing it, and the channel is monetized. I make a little bit of revenue, not much, but imagine me spending a lot of time and hard work putting this content together, and it also generated revenue at the same time. And I'm passionate about it. I know I'm helping people out, so it's not hard to make time this early in the morning when that's how you feel about it. Mad Max, thank you. Super chats are never expected but always appreciated, my friend. All right, guys. Leon, welcome in, my friend. Let's get into some of the charts as I'm waiting on your TA questions here. Mad Max, Kayleen, Leon, and the silent majority who have not commented, feel free to drop your questions within the comments. Let's zoom out here. This is a 2-day chart on WIF. This is the first meme we're going to take a look at. Now, you guys know I have not been shy in stating that I've taken a larger position in WIF. I have a position in WIF. I have a position in Pepe. I think it's good to be diversified. I've said that there is good reason to believe that both could be one of the two that break into that top 15 to 10 and could shock everyone this quote-unquote cycle. But if I were to lean towards one over the other, I've said WIF. And we'll get into why I made that statement, and we'll see if I still feel similarly. So this is a 2-day chart. Again, we don't have a lot of price action here, but based on the price action that we do have, chart is looking monumentally bullish, right? We've been coiling within really what you could consider to be a bull pennant. I mean, really, you could make the pole look like, you actually could make it look like this, to be quite honest, based on the volume profile. Based on the volume profile, stand corrected. Really, based on the volume profile, you'd want to draw it more like this. So really, you have a bull pennant, but we've been consolidating within a triangular formation here. And what did we just do? Well, the green oval, that is not a circle, ladies and gentlemen, that is a oval. We have just broken out from the sideways consolidation, right? And right now, because this was our confirming candlestick, we can print this green, right? So we're kind of hanging out between $3.30 and $4, really $4, because $4 is your psychological level. You can see we wicked right up here above $4. We're kind of hanging out here deciding what we want to do. Do we want to roll over? There's really, I feel like I'm painting the obvious by saying this. We could either roll over, we could consolidate in here, or break to the upside, right? Wow, thanks, Genius CBG. Thank you for illustrating that. So what do we think we're going to do? Well, based on my primary view of the market here, of course, price indicators are starting to turn around. Based on my primary view of what I'm expecting within the market, I would anticipate a break to the upside. Now, once we begin to break to the upside on WIF, really your main areas of price confluence are really between, I would say, 430 and our all-time high at about 490. Once we break 490, it's anyone's educated guess. We can use fib extensions to kind of take a look at how high price is going to go. I think WIF is going to be going tremendously higher into double-digit territory as we get into the summer and the end of the year. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Now, if we get into the Pepe USD chart, do I have that up? Yes, I do. If we get into the Pepe USD chart, you can see right now, flip that bad boy to support, we've created new all-time highs. So really here, for me, there isn't any price confluence if we look left that we can speak to in terms of what we should be looking for price to run into resistance. We're in a blue sky breakout here. Okay, this is a very, very bullish chart. Really, the question we should be asking ourselves is, do we think this is a fake breakout to the upside? And also the question we should ask is, where are there areas of price confluence for support? Okay. Do I think this is a fake break to the upside? Well, one of the things I look for is the volume profile. We can see we saw an increase in volume as we started to break to the upside. So I don't believe that's the case. And also the price indicators are looking very bullish if we turn them on here. So we're just below the 70 RSI on the 3-day chart here. Of course, I'm looking at a 3-day because, again, there isn't a lot of price confluence. Stochastic RSI looks fine. MACD looks healthy. So, again, I would simplify your life here and just say, really, let me duplicate this. Really, if I was in your position and I was considering, never financial advice, but I was looking to consider to increase or establish the position in Pepe, my main areas of price confluence would be somewhere between and you can figure out the zeros here, but I would go as low as actually here. Right here at the point of break. So anywhere in this area here, and you can read the decimal system here, we're between, remove the zeros, but between the 0.85, between the 0.085 and the 0.113. Again, 0.085 and the 0.113 would be my areas of support. During these live streams, I may need to get up and refill on the cafe. Okay. Now, why did I feel confident earlier on a couple months ago? And I'll get to the comments here in a moment. I see them coming in. I just want to finish up with my thoughts here. Why did I conclude that I felt more confident in WIF having stronger price action than Pepe, right? Well, if we go back in the chart, you can see what we had here. We had an ascending triangle / bull pennant. Why do I say that? Well, you can see that price action here at the time that I made that call, and it was immature. The price data was immature. You can see we were in a pennant, right? We were in a pennant, and then we sort of, as price data developed, and this is one of the things that people fail to recognize from technicians, we evolve our views as the price data comes in, ladies and gentlemen. So as this price action started to come in, I said, okay, well, that doesn't look like that's playing out. So it looks like, you could form some sort of a, ascending triangle here, with still a bull pennant. We did break to the upside, but look what has happened since then. We've really failed this pattern, right? So that pattern is no longer valid, right? So I was correct to make the assertion early on. However, the risk on my end making that assertion was that the data was very immature, right? And it did not pan out in the way that we would have expected. Which isn't surprising given that these are such risky assets and so volatile. And it's also not surprising, layered on top of that, that we were so early on within how much price data was available to us. So now what we need to do as technicians is we need to reevaluate the chart, and we need to decide what we think is most and least likely, right? That's what we need to do. So let's take a look at that together. And do I still feel like WIF is going to continue, or it will, moving forward, outpace Pepe? Do I think that's the case? Well, right now we've regained prior areas of price confluence, right? These were once red once we were down here, but we've regained them as support. So in order for me to begin to feel convicted that WIF is going to outpace Pepe, we really need to start clearing some areas of price confluence, and it needs to convince me, and I need to fix this chart because I set this up incorrectly. You can see these values to the right don't make sense. It needs to convince me that essentially we have a low here, a higher low here, a high here, and we're looking for a higher high to come in here, right? Something like this, right? But in order to do that, in order for that view to come fruition, we need to start breaking these areas of price confluence. So right now, I have some skepticism, right? I need the chart to show me something. What you don't want to see is you don't want to see something like this, right? You don't want to see prices coming in here and getting rejected here and then kind of coming up and chopping around like that, right? So this is a TBD, to be determined. I'm less confident that WIF is going to outpace Pepe. I need it to show me something. Once we start to break these areas up here and we start to come anywhere near prior all-time highs, then we can revisit this chart and have a conversation about what my expectations are and how I feel about WIF outpacing Pepe. But for now, the price data is immature, and based on the recent breakdown, I need to allow price to develop to tell me which way this is going to go. So those are my feelings on it. All right, let's get into the comments here. Ooh, good question coming in from Mad Max. I like the way you're phrasing this. So I'm not familiar with the chart. Of course, I do own some Cocky New. Cocky New looks like it. Guys, real quick, before I get into the TA question, what is this chart doing? Cock is showing you some strength. We'll have to see what happens. For all the ladies invested in Cocky New, Cock is not disappointing at the moment. So I have horrible jokes. Horrible. You can see that right here we broke resistance, right? And what does price action quite often like to do when it breaks resistance? It likes to come down to the descending resistance, treat it as support. Maybe we go sideways a little, but ultimately use it as a springboard to go up. I like so far what I'm seeing in the chart for Cocky New, something to keep an eye on. And by the way, on this breakout, as we started to pull back and come closer to this area, I have a small position in Cocky New. I actually increased my position. So let's get to the question. Do I have a chart on this? Look at that, VRA. I don't know when I charted. Wait, when did I chart this last? Looks like I might have set this up for myself, and then I just dropped the ball on charting it. Because I know you guys, and I don't know if it was you, Mad Max, if you had asked a question on VRA. Bitfinex, there is no... No. I feel like we charted this before. I'm going to get to this TA question. Let me just grab some coffee. I'll be right back. All right, got myself a refill on that cup of Joe. Let's get into VRA. Now, the specific question, I like the way you're approaching the question, Max, because you're asking me a specific question. You're not asking me to just chart it. You're saying, based on the chart, would you get out and cut your losses and move into something stronger, or do you see it bouncing soon? Of course, soon is subjective, but I'll answer the question as best as I can. Now, the reason Max is asking a good question, before we chart this, it's important everyone understands this. There are times, in my opinion, when you need to remain patient within your chart and recognize that on the higher time frames we're still bullish, and based on your investment horizon, it would be in your best interest to just remain patient because nothing fundamentally has changed in the chart on a high time frame basis relative to your again, expectations from an investment return on a time horizon basis. Maybe it's chipping and chopping in the short term and it frustrates you, but you don't want to feed into that human emotion. On the flip side, you also don't want to feed into a human emotion that is, I'm going to stay in this because this is going to change the world, even though the chart is falling apart and there really aren't any signs that it's going to turn around. And based on your time horizon on within your investments, there's just so many other attractive charts out there. I think a great example of this, I continue to shit on it, and I will until it turns around. Casper is a great example. If you were invested in Casper the past 6, 7, 8 months, and you've gotten frustrated with it, I can totally understand why you would have cut some of your position there and put it in other assets that are performing much better. You would have done very well for yourself. Many examples of many charts that have far outpaced that token. So let's answer the question here. Now, I can't tell you whether or not you should cut your losses, but I'll do the best I can to give my view on the overall chart and share with you what I see in the shorter term. Now, first off, the very first thing that jumps out to me, okay, we are in a strong uptrend. There's absolutely no question. Just because we haven't come down and touched this doesn't mean anything. What I'm attempting to demonstrate to you here is this is in a monumental uptrend since 2020. Okay, this is on a 2-week time frame. So I'm guessing based on your question, you've been in this for a little bit and you're wondering if it's ever going to turn around. The other thing that I like to see in this chart, just kind of high level, and we hit on this yesterday, this is essentially a double top, but technically the high that we created in 2024 is a little bit higher than the all-time high we created in 2023. Now, we just looked at a few tokens yesterday. We looked at Cardano, we looked at Matic, a few others, Decentraland. There is greater strength being exhibited within this chart relative to some other altcoins within the sector simply because we've created a higher high in 2024 relative to 2023, which is great to see. We've also come down here and created a higher low relative to 2023. Take a look at here and take a look at here. So we do have sorry, I drew that wrong. Shit. We do have higher highs and higher lows coming in, okay, which is really good to see. Don't lose that perspective, okay? And this is essentially a double bottom right here relative to August. Okay, now let's get into specific areas of price confluence, and we'll take a look at the price indicators as well. We'll dig into the lower time frames and try to understand if we'll see a turnaround in the shorter term. Okay. So in terms of resistance, I'm just going to hit on one main area. Again, we did technically put in a higher high here in 2024, but I want one just main area of price confluence. You can see we have a touch here, 2 touches here with the candle bodies. I'm just going to keep it at that 1.3 cent area. Really, you could raise it to a zone to be 1.3 to 1.6, whatever. Until we start getting up towards 2 cents or 1.5 cents, really, I'm not really too interested in speaking about where price is going next. But in terms of areas of support, so in other words, Max, I'm not really interested in charting this once we do begin moving to the upside, once we're closer to 2 cents. But in terms of areas of support, let's see. I don't want to get too cute here. I would say right there. There's a zone, and it kind of also coincides with this upsloping line. I don't want to see price go below 0.0043 to 0.0037. Definitely don't want to break down to this area, below this area, because then you would be taking out this higher low here. On the price, from a price indicator perspective, and again, we're on the 2-week, we do see that the MACD is starting to cross down. The stochastic RSI is trying to flatten out. RSI is curling up. Relatively neutral on the weekly. Okay, on the weekly, it looks like... Now, what I like to see on the weekly here, a couple things, is you can see we've been in this strong downtrend, but price is starting to flatten out right now and trying to find basically a level of support right here. That's essentially what's going on. It's trying to stabilize, okay, around that price area. And as you can see on the price indicators on the weekly, we can also see this playing out here because the stochastic RSI has flattened out and is trying to curl up. RSI also has flattened out in oversold territory in the 40 range and is trying to curl back up. Look at the MACD. One of the indications you can see that trend momentum to the downside is starting to fade, and we may begin to start to move back up is the MACD. Look at the histogram beginning to turn light red, and we're starting to flatten out and begin to want to curl up, okay? But the question that Max is also asking is, do you think that we should, do I think that he should cut his losses, and will it bounce soon? If we need to go to a lower time frame to really help answer the question if it's going to bounce soon. I can't tell you if you want to cut your losses. I'll just tell you if we can expect something in the shorter term. I like some of the momentum that's beginning to build up on the daily, on the RSI. You can see the relative strength index is moving up. Price is just chopping sideways here. I do like to see that. There's nothing overly strong here, but I do like to see that. If I go to a 2-day, and again, I don't know where you entered this position, but I like the build up in the stochastic RSI. Again, relative strength index looks like it's stabilized and it's trying to increase here while price has just been going flat or slightly down. MACD is trying to regain momentum there. 3-day looks like it wants to cross back up every time we've had a, not every time, but in recent times, when the MACD has crossed up on the 3-day, we've seen some moves up. I would say there are some signs that we could begin to see some movements up in price, which would also coincide with the rest of the market. I do like, again, the way price is consolidating in this area and it's stopped going down. Some of the price indicators are telling me on the lower time frames that we could see some sort of a bounce to the upside. I don't see anything significantly strong here, though. If it were, never financial advice, if it were me, and I've been invested in this thing for several months, I wouldn't be selling here. If it was something that I got in as a swing play, depending where I got in, and I identified a much stronger chart, I might move some, but I don't know that I would play around at these levels and start switching between coins, just because, again, to me, it looks like momentum to the downside may very well be completed. And we could be looking for a strong bounce up. And again, if you do want to sell some at the initial bounce, you could, as we start to approach, it looks like 0.9 cents. 0.9 cents looks like it might be a 0.87 to 0.9 cents could be a strong area where we might see some initial struggles. Also, 0.75 looks like an area as well. But I don't know that I would jump out of this thing right away, depending on when you got in. I hope that was specific enough for you, my friend. Leon, what's your opinion on alts front-running this cycle over more legacy tokens? Maybe last cycle plays like Doge and NFTs have made old and new participants skip the boring part. Ooh, this sounds like a really good question. Let me take this in and make sure that I'm digesting it properly and answering it to the best of my ability. Sounds like I'm at work. You're welcome, Max. Let me read this again. Leon, what is your opinion on altcoins front-running this cycle over more legacy tokens? Well, first off, that question is a little confusing because altcoins are both older coins and newer coins. So I'm going to assume you mean, what's your opinion on newer altcoins front-running this cycle over older altcoins? Well, we're already seeing that. So that answer is already implicitly understood. That's a rhetorical question. The only way to interpret that question is, do we think that newer coins are front-running older coins? Well, the answer to that question is already, it's implicitly understood within the market. I mean, a lot of newer coins are front-running the market, so I'm not really sure why you're asking the question. Sometimes it's hard to communicate things through. It's like texting someone, right? I'm doing the best I can here, but that's how I'm interpreting the question. Maybe last cycle plays like Doge and NFTs have made old and new participants skip the boring part. Maybe last cycle plays like Doge and NFTs have made old and new participants skip the boring part. I'm not sure what you mean by that. I just think what we're seeing is a lot of newer tokens are front running a lot of the, to your point, a lot of the older plays. You know, we saw a lot of the same thing back in 2000. And if you look in 2020/21, look at a lot of those exciting plays like DEXs. If you look at layer ones, you will see that a lot of those plays were outperforming a lot of those older tokens, right? You had things like Uniswap. I remember Uniswap, SushiSwap. You had Matic. You had Avalanche. A lot of these things, they were newer tokens, and they were newer and exciting, and they were blowing away a lot of the legacy tokens. So I don't really think there's anything different playing out from that perspective. Do you envision more traditional rotations later on in the year as a result? I think that what we're going to see once money comes into the market and Ethereum begins breaking its prior all-time high, you're going to see a lot of the narratives, your layer twos, there's going to be all sorts of narratives like there were before. I think it's going to be very similar to the past. There's going to be differences. I mean, clearly meme coins are the talk of the town right now, but there will be rotation into other narratives. Okay, AI, another distinction this cycle, AI. But again, I think more of the same. Do you believe this cycle will be BTC to Sol? All right, guys, we're running up against time. I just noticed we're at 40 minutes. I do have to stay on schedule because I need to get off to the gym and then get back in time for work. But, okay, Leon has another follow-up to this question. Do you believe the cycle will be BTC to Sol, new alts, BTC greater than BTC to Sol, new alts, ETH to XR? Here's what I think. Let me answer this the best I can. You're asking Some of this, let me just say, some of this is hard to answer because we're not having a live conversation, and it's essentially you texting me. So I'm trying to interpret your text message as best as possible. That's how I would, just so you know from this perspective how I'm digesting this. I believe what's going to happen, and I've reiterated this on the live streams, and then we're going to have to call it a morning after this, my friends. And then you can join me, of course. I'll be back on, I've said Friday is optional. Sunday, we're gonna try to do the monthly coverings, and then I'll be back next week for questions on Tuesdays and Thursdays. But we're waiting for Ethereum. I have reiterated time and time again that because this is based on history, Ethereum, once it begins to break all-time highs, two things will happen. One, it's going to lead to a bleed in dominance. I've given you a key area at 53% to watch for, which will result in an alt season, in my opinion, once we truly begin to break down below 53%. And two, once that excitement comes into Ethereum, that king altcoin, there is going to be new money, new money, and rotational money that is going to flood into your layer 2s, your layer 1s, your DEXs, your ERC20 tokens. XRP will steal the spotlight, to your point. Digibyte will have a mega pump. Like, all these things are going to happen, in my opinion, once Ethereum begins to break all-time highs. Why? Think about the psychology of the market for the moment. Why am I saying this? There are two reasons I'm saying this. Number one, we look left. When we look left, we see historical price action, and we see in the past when this has occurred within Ethereum's chart, this is what has happened in the market. Two, think about the psychology of the market. The psychology of the market is if you have an altcoin like Ethereum gaining momentum and breaking out all-time highs, at some point it gets boring to participants. Well, Ethereum's done so well, but the returns I'm going to get in this are boring. I, as an investor, a crypto degen, I now have renewed confidence in this market that altcoins are starting to move. And so I want to get in something even more risky and something with a lower market cap and something that's going to move even more and have more multiple price return potential than Ethereum. So I'm gonna rotate my money into this coin or this coin. And then as that starts to happen and news coverage starts to pick up within the sector, you have new participants flooding in here that don't know what they're doing, and they see tokens like AIs and AI token on CoinMarketCap that's only 80 cents. They see something that like an XRP or an XLM that's 10 cents or 50 cents. Oh, this thing's got to go to $1, $2, $3, $10. They start getting into the market as well. This is what has happened in the past, and until it doesn't happen in the future, this is what we're going to rely on to tell us what is most likely. That is my view moving forward. I hope I'm answering the question. Guys, that's going to do it. I'll quick answer this. Gingerius, I'm fucking bullish on Caspa. I've shared a lot of different charts. Nothing has changed. Raghorn, glad to see you on here, man. All right, guys, that's going to do it. I need to stay on track. I need to get my day started as well. So thank you for tuning in for the first edition of a Thursday early morning live stream. I will keep this going moving forward. Again, I anticipate being back here on Sunday for the monthly close. We're just going to focus on those monthly closes. We have a monthly close that's very pivotal tomorrow, and we'll cover it on Sunday. So until next time, everybody, let's all spread awareness. Let's carry the education forward, guys. Take care.